Welcome to the Parrot podcast. I'm your host, Sandra, and today it's me and Mia, and I wanted to talk a little bit about air purifiers and quality air. I find that this is something that is commonly overlooked, and recently I've been getting a lot of questions about this, and there's been a lot more hype about it on social media, which is great because air quality for us is important, but it's even more important for our birds. Now, why is it more important for our birds? Because they have really sensitive respiratory systems. And just look at the size of a conure, a cute little conure like Mia. Imagine how tiny her lungs are, but she takes in even more oxygen when she's flying because it does take a lot of energy. And something small being in the air or some fume or pollutant or something can be detrimental to our birds. So it's really important to have good quality air. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we're avoiding certain things in our homes, like scented candles, chemical cleaners, cooking with pans like Teflon. So you want to make sure that you're avoiding the fumes that get released, which are PFOA and PTFE. And you also want to avoid cleaning ovens, certain hair blow dryers, body sprays, hair sprays, chemicals like paint and paint thinner, and just all of these types of things that have really strong, intense smells or release fumes. Even though for us, we're able to handle it, it can literally kill some birds. So we need to be really mindful of what is in our air. And then we also want to open the windows when we have a nice fresh day and we can get some fresh air through our homes. Just make sure that your birds are either in their cage when you're opening windows and doors, or make sure that you have nets so that when you open them, you're keeping them safe and you aren't risking them flying out and flying away. And the other thing that we can do is get an air purifier. And air purifiers are great because they do just that. They purify your air and they remove dander and debris and all of these things. And we know that birds are also really messy. And messy means also pooping everywhere, and dried poop can also release little particles into the air. Plus, when they're preening, they're scritching themselves, then they're also releasing dander and even powder into the air, because when they're breaking up those pins, then it kind of turns into this fine powder and it goes into the air. And even though we can't see it unless the sun beam is shining in, then that's usually when we can see all this stuff in the air. It gets in the air even though we don't see it. And powder birds are going to release this even more than non-powder birds. So powder birds is going to include African grays, cockatoos, and cockatiels. They have a lot more of that they're putting out into the air. So it's really important to keep our environment clean, not only for ourselves, because it's important for our lungs too, but also for our birds. And some people also get allergic reactions or have asthmatic reactions. And so it's really important for those people to also be aware of powder versus non-powder birds, but also keeping the air clean if there are birds in the home. And if you are allergic or you have asthma and you don't have a bird yet and you're thinking about it, then it might not be the best idea for a pet for you for this reason. Birds can produce a lot of dust, so that's why it's really important to know this stuff, but to also be mindful so that we can keep our air clean and make sure that our birds are breathing in good quality, safe air. Mia is perched up on my shoulder right now in my hair, and she is napping, and she looks just so cute. I can't handle her. Air purifiers designed specifically for birds or pets can effectively remove these airborne particles, including dander and powder, and it just provides a much safer and cleaner air for all of us in the home. These purifiers are typically employ advanced filtration systems that can capture microscopic particles and allergens, including bird dander, dust, pollen, mold spores, and things like that. And for those that are allergic, they need to be mindful of that. But there's also something called bird fancier's lung, and that's when dust collects in the lungs over time. But this usually happens when someone lives in a really small space with a lot of birds, and it causes a lot of respiratory distress. But this is not very typical. So, if you don't have that kind of situation, it's not something that you need to worry about, especially if you just have one bird or two or a small flock in your home or an apartment. And just be mindful of making sure that you're opening the windows, getting that fresh air in, and you're cleaning regularly, dusting everything, vacuuming. We got a robot vacuum, and that helps a lot because I find that everything just collects on the floor. So the robot vacuum does its round every single day, and it vacuums and mops at the same time. And it is fantastic. So it is a really great way for us to upkeep with that. But we did have an air purifier. And what's the other one? A humidifier. We also had a humidifier. Well, I kind of broke them. I don't know. So I'm on the market for a new one, and I did see a few that were recommended from bird parents. I'm going to look them up right now. I know one of them is the Dreo. So that's one that you can look up. I think it's spelled Dreo. And I did include it into the blog that I did on air purifiers because I had someone email me and ask which air purifier. So I did a little bit of research, but I also saw someone recommend one on Instagram. And I'm going to look that up right now. The other one that I saw that was recommended was Koway. So they have air purifiers as well. So that is another brand that you can check out, Dreo and Koway, if you're looking for one. I'm definitely going to be getting one of those. Bird dander and powder can pose a lot of challenges for individuals with allergies or asthma. That's why it's always good to know this before getting a bird if you do have allergies to dander or things like that, or if you have asthma, because you can experience sneezing, coughing, wheezing, itchy or watery eyes, all those allergic reactions when you are exposed to bird dander or powder. And individuals that have asthma can find that their symptoms are more aggravated when they are in a bird's environment. So that can lead to difficulty breathing and wheezing and chest tightness and things like that. So we just need to be really mindful of this. But even if you don't have allergies or you don't have asthma, you still want to make sure that you are breathing good quality air. So let's get ourselves some air purifiers. Air purifiers can alleviate all of these issues, reducing the concentration of bird dander and powder in the air. And it also captures and traps these particles. And air purifiers also minimize the potential triggers for allergic reactions or asthmatic reactions. And it provides relief for both bird owners and birds. When choosing an air purifier, you want to make sure that it has a HEPA filter. And these filters are really good at capturing and trapping little particles and bird dander and powder and all of these things so that you can improve your air. By investing in a high quality air purifier, you can create a healthier and better environment for your bird, but also for yourself and your family. So that's it. That is what I wanted to chat with you about today. Air quality, air purifiers, and about the dander and particles that get put into the air, not just by dust and all the things in our homes, but also from our birds, and how important their little respiratory systems are and how sensitive they are. So if you've got candles, if you've got these strong cleaning chemicals, bleach, paint, anything like that around your home, toss it, swap it. I like to use vinegar and water solution as like an all-purpose cleaner. And I have this on the blog, and I also in our nutritional guide talk about how I also wash our veggies and our fruit and all our produce, and how I do that with vinegar as well. Vinegar, I think, is going to be your best friend when it comes to cleaning, and it is safe for our pets. I just always have our pets in a separate room when I'm cleaning, just to make sure that they're not breathing in all these fumes and smells of vinegar. And yeah, so make sure that you're providing your bird with good quality air and also protecting yourself at the same time from all these chemicals and bad quality fumes and all this stuff, because there's enough of all of that in our world right now. And we need to reduce our toxic load and the toxicity that we have in our homes. So I hope that this podcast inspires you to clean up your home a little bit when it comes to toxic products and the air. We want to be breathing good air. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Parrot Podcast by Poodles and Parrots. I'm your host, Sandra, and I'll see you in the next episode.